in general. When nations or groups of people do not have access to resources, their behavior is difficult to manage. It becomes aberrant, they lose their mental equilibrium, they cannot arrive at appropriate conclusions. Once people are free mentally of debt, obligation, servitude, then they can see new horizons that they've never even dreamt possible before. I don't know what the future will be, but I can say it's probably we'll kill each other. But I can't live with that, so I speak out. I don't say the future will be this. And people say, how long from now do you see this scientific world? I don't know. That's not up to me. If you put me in charge, I can tell you that. But if they are in charge, how can I tell you?
If all of a sudden someone was to give you a load of money, millions, billions possibly, to start off the Venus project, would you start something in America? Would it be a different part of the world?
Motion pictures first.
I would start motion pictures.
You can get the millions of people in the shortest amount of time. Instead of me lecturing at different universities, the movies can travel all over the world and show people how decisions are arrived at, how we get from here to there in detail. And that's the fastest way to get to people. So we have to make a movie showing the opposition who makes the decisions. How do you know that's right? Why should we follow your plan alone? There's thousands of other views. What do you do with different viewpoints of different people who want to go in different directions? How do you manage that? If you just build a new city and put normal people in it, the city will go back to the same kind of system. So people have to know how to operate society so we don't have serial killers, robbery, murder, sexual abuse. All of that would have to be part of the educational system. I don't care about building new cities for people. I care what's up here. So some people think if you eat vegetables, you're less aggressive. Well, I've seen cows that are less aggressive, not because they eat vegetables, because there's a lot of grass. And when there's a little bit of grass, animals bite each other. So I would say scarcity produces most of the problems, which is the monetary system. Money. Senators get paid off to carry out the wishes of the drug administration or to carry out some other policy. The problem is the transition from this system to the next. There's going to be a lot of trouble, a lot of assassinations. I don't wish this, but people have never been educated to listen to new ideas. To change people fast, you have to get to the media. And if the media is afraid that I don't only rock the boat, I sink it, they're not about to invite you on.
More down the line, I think.
If you put me in charge, I'd last about a week. I think they'd get rid of me. If enough people understand the Venus Project and demand that a resource-based economy be installed, it will be installed. Like I said, if they do nothing, the consequences are awful. And that people think, well, things always got a little bad, you always get a little better. They are unreal. And since they are unaware of all the distant possibilities, they don't concern themselves with it. Until they lose their jobs, their homes, and the monetary system collapses in on them, and the banks fail, then they will look for something else. People have never in history changed society for the future.
That there should be a political movement associated with the Venus Project?
Not a political movement, an educational movement.
Very good, yeah.
Tell people what it is that's needed, how much arable land to support so many people, and transportation that would be safe. An educational project that shows how to utilize our existing resources in a more equitable way for all people. If it's a political party, you have to consider the value system of the majority if you want them to put you into power. For example, the difference between science and theological or biblical training is that if scientists find out that the earth is round, while most people believe it's flat, they don't accommodate. They don't say, well, listen, folks, it's a little round and a little flat. Then you get along with more people. But it isn't the business of science to get along. It's to talk about, I'm using old language, the truth. In other words, if you find out that living near a certain swamp produces malaria, you don't say, well, it may or may not produce malaria. You can please the people that live near the swamp, but you tell them there seems to be a high correlation living near a swamp and malaria. In other words, the scientist is supposed to state things as he finds them, not to accommodate to the public point of view. People say, well, if so many people believe something, there must be some basis for it. Most people once believed the earth was flat. That doesn't make it flat.
Right.
And some people, like in the Hawaiian Islands, they believe in little people called the mini-hoonies. That doesn't make it so. Even though the majority of people believe something, doesn't make it so. In other words, remember when slavery existed in America, you were not permitted to teach the slaves to read. If you did, they would be difficult to manage.
Right.
If you brought up as a particular point of view, and somebody comes up and says most of everything you think of is not your own, is what has been presented to you, so indoctrination, they don't like that because you're calling them a sucker, an ignoramus. They don't like to be told that because they can't do anything with it and they can't do anything about it unless you give them a new set of tools. Remember, a surgeon without surgical instruments can't do anything. And people without a value system that provides answers, I mean workable answers to problems, don't know how to solve problems. They hope things will work out. No engineer hopes a bridge will stand up. He does calculations, he tests the concrete, the cables that support the bridge, so that he will know it'll hold up. Before he does that, he has to know what kind of weight the bridge carries and what kind of winds exist in the vicinity. Engineers never hope things are going to work out. They only engineer things to work out by understanding the variables required to make things work out. Now that's true for all things. Don't hope that your kids turn out well. Find out what it is and what is necessary to enable them to turn out well.
If there was a sustainable city built with walls around it and it was doing well and everybody lived well in it, but the outside, the values stayed the same and they were still making wars and bombs and people were still hungry and there was an economic downturn, you can be assured that that city would be bombed or be invaded for its goods. You can't live alone anymore. Everything's connected today. If we dump uranium dust in Iraq, it gets floated over to Europe. That's what happens. So it's really a global system that we have to go after where everyone lives well. We have designs, as I said, for a new city where people could come from all over the world and see. It'd be kind of a transitional city because you can't superimpose a resource-based economy within the monetary system, so it'd be a transition. And people would come and see how the city works and see how efficient it would be, and then go back and build one in their country. And it would kind of grow this way through evolution, not revolution. But before things break down in this culture, we'd like to have a lot more information out there so people know what to work toward.